Hello everyone, welcome to basically a video which we will talk about a new brand that is called Geometric Future, and they have loads of new cases. They have an AIO which is right here, and we're going to talk about both of them today and give you some insights about the case and an AIO. Today we have Geometric Future Model 8 CowBoy, which is the case, and as you can see it has actual real letter here on the side. And we have the Eskimo Junior 36. This is a 360mm AIO, and it supports 1700 LGA right from the box, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, the case. First, let's talk about the case. The case is really interesting, and I'll tell you why. I'll just pop it open immediately so you can see what we're actually talking about. So you just slide it out, open it like so, and this is it. It's dark tinted tempered glass. You have here, as already stated, real leather, and you have Geometric Future here engraved in that leather. On top, on the IO ports, you also have real leather going right around actual ports, and even the power on button has leather on top, and the back side has the same side panel. Now, as you can see, whole chassis is completely inverted, and if you take a look at it in a regular case perspective, the power supply is on top. Let's put it that way. The power supply is on top, radiator is at the bottom. But when we flip it like this, you have something completely outstanding. You have a radiator 360 here at the back side that you could go. You have a power supply right here, and the cool thing compared to other manufacturers that placed this kind of, let's say, vertical position of everything, the access to the ports on top is quite easy, and you don't have to worry about access. You have a huge hole here at the back for placing the cables through, which gives you enough room, about 5 to 6 centimeters at the top right here, the exact amount that you can see this part right here for connecting GPU, I don't know, mouse, everything, keyboard, literally everything is very accessible on top without any issues. And you get this some sort of an extension for your power supply, so it can fit quite nicely here at the back, so you don't have to worry about the length of your power supply cable. So yeah, that's cool. So the back side really does look quite nice, and you have two hinges at the back, two actual brackets that can be removed and can be placed as you desire to basically give you an easy mounting on the AIO, and that's it. In this scenario, if we're going with an AIO, you can only go with an AIO here at the back or at the top if it's 120. Otherwise, placing an AIO at the bottom, you know what happens. It creates bubbles in the pump, which isn't good. So placing a liquid cooling system at the back, if it's an AIO, if it's a closed loop, pipes go at the bottom around the graphic card and directly to the pump top block. Otherwise, if you're going with a custom loop, you could go 420, 360, 280, 240, 120 at the bottom, 360, 240, 120 at the back, and 120 at the top. For this build, I actually went with an AIO because logical, I had to, and I wanted to test it out to see the temperatures, and quite nice. I mean, quite nice. It looks, I thought at first I was kind of concerned when it comes to tubing going like this, but it actually, there is no flex. It really does look nice, and the tubes still have loads of wiggle space, so you don't have to worry about it. Unfortunately, I was thinking that maybe, but just maybe, you can squeeze in another 120 fan right here, but basically this fan that is on the far left side is pushed maximum to this part. So in any other situation, if we went with 480 radiator, then it would make some sense, but placing here to blow in this closed part for the power supply really doesn't make any sense. So yeah, only for the custom liquid cooling system, that would be quite outstanding. Nevertheless, the power supply has some sort of a extra space for all your cables, so you don't have to worry about cable management, because at the back, apart from loads of 2.5-inch caddies, you have 2.5 centimeters of space for your cable management. And even in this compartment right here where the power supply is, you can place all your cables that are extra and make it look nice at the back as well, because we do have tempered glass at the back side. So yeah, that's cool. Now, for this position of the graphic card, you can actually place it in two positions. You have a standard vertical, but upright, let's put it that way, upright vertical, and the standard horizontal or upright horizontal position. Now, there are 3 slots here for placing the GPU upright vertical. But then again, if you place it, if you place the GPU like that, you know what happens. It's too close to the tempered glass, and even with the fans at the bottom blowing and making a chimney effect, it does tend to heat up. But here is the catch. So we have 3 Noctua fans, 120mm at the bottom, and they're blowing, creating a chimney effect. But the radiator right here is pushing the air that's coming from this fan right here, which would most likely work better if the GPU took the air from that fan. That would be much better, but then again, there is no other place to mount the AIO. But okay, so for the thermals, we have 12600K and we have RTX 3070 Supreme X. The temperatures are quite interesting because the position of the GPU somewhat affects the temperatures of the CPU, not by much, by a couple degrees Celsius, but that's nothing to worry about. So in this position, we have temperatures on the CPU going up to 63 degrees Celsius. The GPU is going up to 69, but if we place it vertically, upright vertically, the CPU goes up to 66 and the GPU goes up to 83 degrees Celsius. And basically you can see that the difference between the temperatures on the processor is by 3 degrees Celsius, and that's only because the GPU somewhat, when it heats up, of course, these fans pick up a bit of a hot air from the GPU, and that's why it transforms basically from the liquid to the processor. But I wouldn't worry that much about it, because after all, we're talking about 3 Celsius degrees and we're talking about AIDA 64 Extreme Edition system stability test. If we're talking about some standard gaming, you can lower the temperatures by 10 to 15 degrees Celsius, and that would be quite alright, I would say. So, quite interesting design. Chimney effect, you have at least 2 centimeters of space between the desk and the bottom part where the fans and the case start. You do have a meshed magnetic part at the bottom, so you basically have to flip the case on the side, remove the magnetic part, place the fans and pop the magnetic part back. It would be much easier if there was an opening here at the back, so you could just pull out the dust filter, clean it up, and you don't have to place the case on the back side and stuff like that, right? But in any scenario, this case looks quite refreshing on the market, and I would say that the design is nice, really nice. And imagine going with a liquid cooling system, it would definitely bring some refreshments on the market and on your table. Now, talking about the Eskimo Junior 36, this is, as already stated from the beginning, 360mm liquid cooler that supports, of course, addressable RGB from MSI, Asus, Gigabyte, Razer Chroma and ASRock. But some technical specifications, we have of course the 360 radiator. It supports all Intel and AMD sockets, including LGA 2066, 2011, Threadripper AM4, and as already stated, and as you can see, LGA 1700. When we're talking about tube length on 36, we have 450mm. They're made out of rubber with nylon braided sleeve, which does look really nice and clean. You have a controller built-in LED, so you can actually control it without even having a motherboard that supports addressable RGB. Pump speed goes up to 2800, and we have ceramic bearing. The noise is less than 30 decibels, and basically even with AIDA 64 stress testing the CPU, it didn't budge that much. It wasn't creating such noise for you guys to worry about it. Meantime, before failure for the pump is more than 50,000 hours. And then we have the fans. Now these are quite interesting fans because they look completely different that I had so far on the channel. We have Squama 2503B ×3, so you have three 120mm fans. The thickness is 25mm, while the thickness of the radiator is 28mm, altogether 53, so you can count on the thickness for your builds. PWM speed goes up to 2000 RPMs, and you have nice LEDs to control your RGB and everything. So let me just show you how it actually looks. The case and everything is quite nice, as I already said. You can place three 120 or three 140mm fans at the bottom, making quite nice intake for your complete chassis. This should be an outtake, and this should be an outtake as well. GPU can be placed in two positions, so basically the only thing you need is a GPU riser cable. Preferably if you're running on RTX 3000 series or new Radeon, you should definitely acquire Gen 4 riser, and there we go. So yeah, quite nice. I would only consider, I don't know, aiming something with the EPS cable, because it does have a bit, if you're having passive heatsink on the top part of the VRMs on your motherboard, it might be a bit difficult to acquire and connect it. But if you manage everything perfectly, it could be done without any issues. Really love how the cables, if you're going with custom cables, how the 24 pin looks quite nice, subtle, going straight down at the back, and the GPU cable is also quite cool. So yeah, that's it. Really love the case because it's a refreshing thing on the market, as I already stated a couple of times, and I really like to check out some new stuff. Geometric Future really did something interesting and without a doubt quite cool. I would say quite cool. Now in idle, this case, especially if I place the tempered glass, is dead silent. And okay, there must be something even with the Noctua fans I placed inside, but these fans aren't that loud and the pump isn't heard, so I don't think there's anything left to say except check out the links below for the Geometric Future Model 8 CowBoy. This is the chassis that I'm talking about, and the Eskimo Junior 36 360mm AIO. Links are in the description, so you can check out the prices, maybe some other details as well. And that's it. If you like what you've seen and if you want to check out some future content as well, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button and hit the notification bell for future content, and hopefully I will see you in another one. So thanks, bye bye.